Hey everybody, Carla here, and I'm back with a new video. A lot of people have this question before they go to Korea. How much money do I need to bring with me when I go to Korea? Especially if you're teaching. When you first get to Korea and you start your teaching job, you will not have your paycheck until a month later. So you'll need to bring money with you so you can live for at least a month. At least you'll have your apartment ready so that you don't have to pay for like rent or anything. But all the other expenses that are not rent, you'll need to pay for. In this video, I'll tell you about what you need to consider when thinking about how much money to bring. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you how much money I brought and how that worked out for me my first month in Korea. The first thing you need to think about is food, okay? Food is like the most important thing. You can't starve in Korea, right? Buying groceries in Korea can be more expensive than actually eating, at a small restaurant. You can actually save a lot of money and still eat out at restaurants. A lot of restaurants are made with groups in mind. So you need to have at least one other person with you to eat at this restaurant. And if you eat there alone, it will get really expensive. These include barbecue restaurants. Basically any restaurant that has the grill in the table, that is meant for groups and will be expensive for you to just eat on your own. An alternative is to eat at places like Kimbap Cheongguk and Kimbap Nara. And I know it's called Kimbap Cheongguk and Kimbap Nara, but they have more than kimbap. So they have a whole bunch of a whole menu of other different foods like kimchi jjigae, 고등어 조림. They have rice dishes. So you can eat that to sustain you for a month. And you can get a whole bunch of different meals and it doesn't have to be unhealthy or anything. The second thing you need to think about is transportation. If you're in a city and you can walk to work, that's fine. You don't have to spend money on the bus to get to work. But it's your first month in Korea. You're gonna want to kind of explore. It's the most exciting time. The first month is so exciting. You're gonna want to go to Seoul, you're gonna want to travel everywhere. But how much does it cost? If you are on a limited budget, then you might think, oh, I can't travel anywhere just yet because I'm not gonna get my paycheck until the next month. But it'll actually be okay because you get a T-Money card, and that's your transportation card for the bus and subway. And you just, I think you buy this card for 4,000 won, and then you can refill it with money for the bus or the subway. And the subway base rate, I think, is 1,300 won, which is $1 and some change. And I think for every 8 kilometers after 50 kilometers, you have to pay 100 won extra, which is literally 10 cents. So you can take the subway and only spend $2 or $3 per ride. Buses are a little bit different but similar. The base price can be as low as 1,000 won, $1, less than $1. In my city, Wonju, I think the bus was 1,200 or 1,300. I think they raised the price actually. But you can literally just pay this and you ride the bus anywhere you want. Now it does get a little bit different when you want to go in between cities. I used to go from Suwon to Seoul, and these buses can be a little bit more expensive, but generally if you're not crossing the whole country, you'll generally pay between 7,000 and 15,000 won, depending on how far the city is away from where you are. So yeah, again, kind of cheap transport, and you can save the more expensive transport for when you get your first paycheck. KTX tends to be more expensive because it's a fancy high-speed train. So that can be up to 100,000 won if you want to go from Seoul to Busan. But yeah, there are other options too, the Mugunghwa train. That's a little bit less expensive, but it takes longer. So, just worry about these things once you get your paycheck. But just, for your information, there's cheap ways to get around Korea, and you don't have to worry about like spending a ton of money. Number 3, going out. Okay, I know this might come secondary to like some people. Some people are like,
oh, I don't need to be going out because I don't have any money.
but it's like, you know, you're in a new country. You want to go to a bar or a club, so just see what it's like. Depending on the area, it can be on the cheaper side or the expensive side. It's just like any other place. Some expensive areas are Gangnam and surprisingly Itaewon, because you know that's like a big foreign area, so a lot of bars and clubs are like,
yeah, pay me like 20,000 won to get into this club.
and it's like, no. Hongdae or Shincheon are like cheaper areas because they're near universities. There's Ewha University, which is a girls' university that's near Shincheon, and like it has its own station too, Ide. And Hongdae is near Hongik University, which is like a big like university for the arts. A lot of artistic people, like singers, dancers, go there. But yeah, like the difference between Gangnam and like Hongdae is that in Gangnam they have like bigger clubs in Gangnam, but you know it's a bigger price. You'll pay like 40,000 won to get into like a club, an electronic music club, and you're like, oh, it's so crowded and everyone's jumping up and down, and you're like, oh. And drinks are like $20, and you already paid 40,000 won to get in there, $40. So definitely not my style, but some people like that. Hongdae is like, you can get into places for free and the drinks are a lot cheaper, like 6, 7, 8,000 won, depending on which place you choose. The 4th thing that you need to think about when it comes to like bringing money to Korea is housewares. I mean, your apartment, your rent is taken care of, but it's basically like an empty shell. You have like a bed, you have a fridge and whatnot, you have a gas range, but you'll probably need like a table, or if you want a TV, or if you want like some chairs, bedding, things like that. Anything that you would need to like make your apartment feel more like home. And if you're on a tight budget, I would recommend going to Daiso. Daiso is like the dollar store, and they have a lot of cheap but cute little houseware items. So just take a look there and see what you can find. And if you want to get more expensive things later, then I'd recommend G Market. G Market has like everything, like literally everything. So G Market is a great place to get more expensive things shipped to you. And the last thing you really need to think about is emergencies. If emergencies happen, you'll most likely need some money. You know, you don't want to be out in some foreign country without any money or any resources, no family, no friends. So at least, in the very least, have some money, you know, that you can use in case of an emergency. I think a good option is to bring a credit card if you have one. Your debit card won't always work in the ATMs in Korea. You have to find specific ones in Seoul. Like, I know Citibank is in Korea. Citibank ATMs will work with a Citibank card, you know, from the States or from whatever country you're from. But the regular, like, Korean bank ATMs might not work with your debit card. So that's just something to be aware of. You might want to bring a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees. Then you can use it if you need food from the grocery store. Like, they'll probably take like a Visa or MasterCard. So yeah, bring a credit card with you that has no foreign transaction fees, and that's a Visa or MasterCard. Now, I'm not sure about Discover. Like, even in the States, no one takes Discover, so you're better off just bringing Visa or MasterCard credit card with you for emergencies. And now, after those 5 things, I'm gonna tell you how much money I brought to Korea and how that worked out for me. Now, when I first went to Korea, I was like just out of college. I was working at like Old Navy, just saving up the money, you know, for my first month in Korea. And I think I saved up about, I don't know, $1,000. And then I remember my grandma actually gave me some more money on top of that, you know, to be safe. So I was really grateful for that. I had about $1,500 with me when I first got to Korea, and it was enough. If you think that you're gonna be making friends and like, you know, if you're a social butterfly, then you might want to bring more money, like $2,000, you know, the equivalent of $2,000 wherever, from your home country or whatever. That should be enough to sustain you. Like, my rule of thumb is like, just go ahead and bring like however much you would make in a month in Korea. Like if your base salary is like 2.1 million won, that's about $1,900 or something. You know, just go ahead and bring 2,000 because that's the normal amount that you'll have each month either way, like once you start getting your paycheck. So just to be safe, just bring like your month's salary to Korea your first month. So yeah, that's my advice to you, especially if you've never been to Korea and you've never lived in Korea. I hope you found it helpful. Well, that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!